Welcome to QAV AU, TK.
You say quav or cav?
QAV.
Should we say
I know.
cav? Like kata?
No.
Why?
Well, Qatar. Yeah, it could be. Cav.
Or
I don't know.
Quebec?
I'm sticking with. Yeah. Well, that's even got a U in it, doesn't it? But they just
It
ignore it.
does. Yeah.
I'm sticking with QAV. This is the 1st of July. Happy new financial year, Tony.
Yes.
2025.
Happy New Year.
Um,
There is
Before we
only the
get into the
financial.
happy,
There is only the financial year. We
that's
don't
the
need to
only
say.
that's the only year you
Yeah.
care
Happy
about.
New Year. Yeah.
And unlike recent years, this has been a pretty happy end to the financial year for us. R.I.P. Lalo, Schiffrin, and Bill Moyers, though, before we start. Two absolute legends and sort of heroes of mine for my entire adult life. Both passed away in the last few days. You a big fan of either of those?
Big fan of Lalo. I don't know Bill Moyers. Yeah, I think there were so many good movies and TV shows in the 70s that Lalo did the soundtrack for. Just brilliant.
Oh my God. I was going over the list. And it's funny because I listen to him a lot. He's in my playlist, but recently rewatched Enter the Dragon, which is one of his. The theme to Enter the Dragon is absolutely epic. And I was talking to Chrissy like last week when we were watching it about Lalo and this and that and the other and his career and with Dizzy Gillespie and all that kind of stuff. And then he passed away. But yeah, Enter the Dragon. He did 127 film soundtracks, including Enter the
Wow.
Dragon, Mission Impossible, the original, Dirty Harry, Cincinnati Kid, Bullet, Cool Hand Luke, The Eagle Has Landed, THX 1138, and Kelly's Heroes, among many, many
But
others.
but he didn't write the theme song to Kelly's Heroes. That was the head of MGM Records, Burning Bridges.
Who wrote it?
Yeah, and
Really?
produced it. Yeah, I forget the
Wow.
chap's name, but he put together a choir, whatever his name is, singers, and they had the hit with Burning Bridges. It was a hit in Australia. I think it got close to #1 in Australia.
Really?
It didn't do so well in the US, but yeah. And just the classic
Bill-
sort of Hollywood thing of, hey, we're making a movie about these guys robbing a bank across enemy lines and the Germans blow the bridges up. And he comes back with a song called Burning Bridges about a girl who's leaving a boyfriend. It's just like,
Why not?
yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
Easy money.
yeah.
Bill Moyers was one of the great newsmen of the US in the last 50, 60 years. He started off, his first claim to fame was he was Lyndon Baines Johnson's press secretary and campaign manager when he ran against Kennedy, but then became his private secretary. Ended up leaving him. They had falling out over Vietnam, I think, among other things. But then he went on and produced a whole bunch of great documentaries, was a newsman at PBS and CBS over the years. But I first discovered him 35 years ago when my guru, Bob, gave me Bill Moyers' 6-hour interview with Joseph Campbell.
The myth.
The hero with the 1,000 faces. Yeah, the hero myth. He did this long interview. It's what made Joseph Campbell famous. Before he made that, Joseph Campbell was, known inside of small groups of academics, but really wasn't famous. And it was that the books came out of the documentary. Sat down and interviewed him for like 6 hours and put the whole thing out on PBS, I think. And that had a big impact on my interest in ancient history and mythology and philosophy when I was 19 or 20 when Bob gave it to me. So yeah.
Was that pre-Star Wars or after Star Wars? The interview with
It was
Joseph.
No, it was after Star Wars. It was like 88, I think, when that came out.
Okay.
But Lucas had studied under Joseph Campbell, so he'd taken all of Joseph Campbell's stuff.
Well, Star Wars is the classic hero with 1,000 faces myth.
Yeah. Well, lots of classics before that, but Campbell articulated the story arc circle, I guess, for Lucas to simplify and make the modern archetype for it. Anyway, so there you go. Back to investing. Portfolios, Tony. Wow.
I was just getting into that conversation.
I know, but
can't you just edit it and put it into after hours?
Yeah. I can.
Okay.
I'll do it later. We'll finish it later.
Yeah.
End of financial year report. Dummy portfolio finished up nearly 20%.
Wow.
19.87% for the financial year versus the STW up 13.61%, according to Navexa. Great year for the index, but DP, not quite double, but pretty good. My super portfolio, not as good. It was up about 13.5%. My QAV Light for the financial year, all four portfolios grouped together, was up 15.17%. So beat the index, but only by a couple of points.
But just
Interestingly,
hang on. I know what you're doing there to group all the light portfolios together, but how many stocks is in that grouped portfolio?
yeah, well, it'd be 60-ish, 50
Yeah.
to 40 to 50 to 60, yeah.
So it's going
So
to
I know it
start
gets
to
close to,
hug the index.
yeah. It's one of the problem with the groups, yeah.
Mm.
I can break them out, but I haven't bothered. I'll do that in a minute. Here's the interesting thing. The Stockopedia US portfolio for our financial year, the last 12 months, was finished at 28.5% up versus the S&P 500 up 13.63%. Exactly the same as the STW in Australia, 13.6%. What are the odds of that?
That's very strange. And the S&P 500 wouldn't have dividends accumulated either, would it? But the STW does, I think. So the capital appreciation will be
Yes,
different. Yeah.
that's true. According to the Financial Review, it said the ASX ended up 10%, best year since 2021. So I guess we have to say thank you, Donald Trump, for just doing such a great job of
Providing us with
running the
heaps
US.
of headlines. Yeah.
Why don't you give us your results and I'll break down the light results while you're doing that.
Yeah, so I'm using ShareSite, which is a bit different to Navexa, but should be the same in terms of reporting. My performance was 17.85%, so not quite double market, but beat the index, which was lovely.
And you're still sitting on like 5 or 6 stocks?
Yeah, I think I've got 7 from memory.
Wow.
So it's concentrated, which is a good thing because my best performer, Parenti, is up 65%, including dividends over the course of the financial year. So,
Wow.
works well when you have a stock like that in a concentrated portfolio. My worst stock was MMS, Macmillan Shakespeare, which I think I sold during the, anyway, I'm not sure. It was down 15%. And a couple of the other ones. I've got some Bank of Queensland in there, which I'll include, even though it's was bought because Jenny was a board member, which she's resigned from. But it's on the buy list now, and it has been on the buy list, so I'm happy to include it. It was up 50%. QBE, the insurance company, was up 31%, and PRU, Perseus Mining, the gold miner, up 18.7%. Interesting one was Super Retail Group, SUL, up 15%, but that included a 12% dividend yield. So that's mainly dividends, which,
Right.
because I've held it for a while, now on a yield basis, taking over well and truly from the capital performance. So it's been a good year for the portfolio.
Well, congratulations on that. I've got the breakdown for the individual light portfolios, and they're very varying. 22.1, our first portfolio is up 9% for the financial year, as was 22.2, up about 8.7. So they underperformed. 22.3 was up 16.4%, and 23.1, the last portfolio, was up 24%.
Wow. What drove that?
That was PRN. There's quite a few.
Parenti
was up 69%. SRG was up 68%. SSM was up 60%.
Wow.
KOV was up 34%. So it had a handful of good winners this year. But the others did not. But the dummy portfolio's best performer was SRG, up 79% for the year.
Wow.
Also PRN, SRV up 47, KOV up 34, CVL up 27, PPM up 23. It had a lot of really good, like, dummy portfolio's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stocks that were up over 20% in the financial year, plus another couple, KSC and IGL, that were up 19% for the financial year. So, yeah, just a bunch of great winners.
Mm.
Some of which I think we've held for quite a long time. SRG we only bought in August last year, so wow. All of them, what a great year it had. PRN, yeah, bought that in May last year. So anyway, there you go.
Very good.
So I did jump on QAV Club Facebook page earlier today and asked people to share their financial year performance with us, and nobody did yet. So thanks for that. If anyone wants to share your performance with us over the course of the next week or whatever, can share it privately or publicly. But yeah, let us know how you did. We want to know how you performed. Hold on, here we go. Trent did get back to us. Good on you, Trent. Solid back-to-back returns with QAV hitting 21% this year. Once again, surprised at how much divs made up of return, which was boosted this year due to capital returns and special dividends. He calls out HLS and PPM. Currently hold 15 positions, fully sold 11 over the period, so a fair bit of turnover, but was spread across the year, not all around Trump Liberation Day. Over the financial year, I've held 26 stocks and 15 have positively contributed to overall return. Biggest rule break of year was partial selling some winners, which has negatively impacted return as both are now higher than when I sold. Well, congratulations good on you for being honest, confessing. That's confessional. This is our QAV confession season. But there you go.
Good. Well, thanks for sharing, Trent, and well done. That's great.
Yeah. So if anyone else wants to share your results with us, we'd love to hear more. Hopefully everyone had a good year. What else you got to talk about today, TK?
Well, nothing in the news section, but I've got a pulled pork on Grange Engineering to do if you've got nothing else.
I just want to talk briefly about Stockopedia and Z-scores. For those, I know a few people are using Stockopedia and my Stockopedia checklist, and I've been going backwards and forwards over Z-scores again because they're kind of annoying. And I'm doing a pulled pork on our US show today for a Korean steel company, POSCO. And when I was doing a drill down on it, I realized that it had 2 Z-scores on Stockopedia. The one I download is a Z2, but then when I looked on the front page of Stockopedia, they were reporting a Z1, which was about half. I think the Z2 was about 3.8, so I got over my 3.5 cutoff and got a score. But the one on the front page of Stockopedia for their profile had a 1.8, which was the Z1. So I did this deep dive on Z-scores again because I'd forgotten my Z-score, what it is and how it works. And there are different Z-scores for different sectors. So I know you know this, but for those of you out there like me who don't know this, Altman developed the Z-score stuff in the 60s, and he was looking at manufacturing companies in the US and, what led some of them to go bankrupt and others not to. And that's now the Z1, but non-manufacturing businesses have different ways that they use their assets and accounting, etc. So the Z2 is used for non-manufacturing, non-financial firms. We know financial firms and Z-scores don't really work very well. So I've been using Z2 because a lot of the companies that end up in our buy list aren't manufacturing in the US. A lot of them have been financial firms where we ignore it, and shipping and, retail and stuff like that. But the problem is that some, like this Korean steel manufacturer, should have a Z1. So I need to have Z1s and Z2s, and I've run out of fields that I can use. You're only allowed to have 25 fields in a Stockopedia download, and I've used them all up. So I got back to the point where I'm like, should I just delete the Z score altogether and not worry about it? It is somewhat of a caution around potential bankruptcy, um, but we have other. We look at the F score, the Piotroski F-score. Um, we look at their cash generation. We look at different things. So I don't know. I'm wondering if I should just rely on the other financial metrics and remove the Z score altogether because it's getting very complicated in the US, mate. I think in Australia, and when I was originally building the Stockopedia thing and I was comparing uh, our stock doctor checklist and the companies on it, and then looking at the Stockopedia and the Z scores, and a lot of the companies that ranked very well in our checklist in Australia when I used Stock Doctor had bad looking Z scores in Stockopedia. But I can't remember if I was looking at Z1 or Z2. And if it was Z1 and it's based around manufacturing, most of the companies on our checklist in Australia aren't manufacturing because we don't have a lot of big publicly listed manufacturing business, it's all mining and financials and telecoms and whatever the hell else it is. So the Z score doesn't make a lot of sense with those. At least the Z1 doesn't. But and then in the US, I mean, they do have manufacturing in the US, but the manufacturers that I'm coming up with, like these guys, are actually Korean anyway, not US. And POSCO is, as we'll see in the when we get to the US pulled pork in our US show, it's kind of it's not state owned anymore. It was originally state owned. It was privatized, but the analysis that GPT gave me was that the South Korean government aren't going to allow POSCO to fail because it's the seventh or eighth largest steel manufacturing company in the world, central to their industry, central to their trade, very, very key operator. So it's not going to go bankrupt, is my point. It'll get bailed out at the very worst by the Korean government. It's not going to fail overnight. And if something goes backwards, we have, our sell triggers to exit it if things start to go bad. We have steel commodity things to get us out if the steel price goes backwards. I'm wondering if I should just cut it all together, TK.
Yeah, I think you should. I thought we already had. Didn't we discuss this a while ago? Happy to cut it.
No,
I
I
think the F score is more relevant um, to what we need, which is a financial health score. I totally respect the Piotrowski score, but I could never get it to make a whole heap of sense, like when we were comparing Stockopedia to Stock Doctor for the Australian companies.
the
They're
F
both
score or the Z score?
the Z score.
Oh,
That
right. The F score has a lot of overlap with
it
the
does, yeah.
Stocker Stocker
Stock Doctor,
financial
yeah,
health score. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Which was interesting. I always thought that was interesting because I think from my limited knowledge of the Altman score and how Stock Doctor originated, they're both coming at it from the same direction. They both went to look at failed companies and then worked out which metrics um, could predict it, and then inverted them and said if you're a long way from those scores, you were a good company in terms of your ability to keep going and not go bankrupt. So I was surprised that they both they didn't correlate, but anyway. But yeah, we found the Z score just from experience bouncing all over the place and not being anywhere near as helpful as the F score, at least in our world.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to manufacturing firms, I'm not so sure, but I think we have enough protections in place. I think it's okay. One of the interesting things about it, though, is it seems to scare off, like a low Z score scares off big funds in the US, which means that some of these stocks that score well with us have a low Z score, and that might be why we're seeing value in them because they're
Okay.
not very favorable to big US funds. They get scared off by that, along with a number of other things. So anyway, I'll talk about it when I get to POSCO later on, but I just wanted to run that idea past you, just ditching it altogether.
So we'll talk about this on the US show, or maybe not. But POSCO is a steel company, steel manufacturer?
Mm.
What's
Well,
the steel
primarily
price?
still, yeah.
What's the steel price doing?
Good question. Let
The
me
ask knowing the
see.
answer.
It's a sell. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, we don't own it anyway, but I'm still going to talk about it.
Okay.
I'll just tell people, yeah, don't buy it. It's been going down. Everything's going down, actually. Commodities, lithium is a buy. Lithium turned around,
Yeah.
aluminium turned around, but
Aluminium
gold's a
did. I think
Josephine.
thermal coal's now a buy again.
It has been for a week or two, I think. Yeah.
Okay. I just noticed
But
today. Yeah, I couldn't work. I almost did a pulled pork on Yancoal, but anyone wants me to do that, let me know. I've done it before, but now that thermal coal's a buy, it's turned up.
yeah. Aluminium's a buy, lithium's a buy, but wheat became a Josephine this week. Magnesium, zinc became Josephines. Crude oil, I mentioned, I think last
Mm.
week, it was a buy briefly, and then it became a Josephine. But yeah, gold with the, I don't know, recovery of something, tariffs, whatever's, I don't know. For some reason, gold has now stopped its joyride briefly. Oh, it's
What's
back
gold
up.
though? It's a Josephine though, isn't it? It's not a sell.
No, it's yeah, Josephine.
Mm.
God, wouldn't even know how to. Looking at the
Been going
chart
up for a
right
long
now.
time, so it's a long way from its sell, I
Yeah,
would have thought.
it's got a crazy looking chart since the election. Since the US election, it just rocketed up. I don't know what that's telling you. Yeah. Around the US election, it was trading at 2,040 US dollars, and now it's trading at $3,319. Actually, looking at gold today, it's back to being a buy again. It's turned
Okay.
around since I did it yesterday. Go figure. Yeah. Well, there you go. I'm going to have to change my sheet yet again. Well, that's all I've got. Tony,
Alrighty. How about a pulled
come on,
pork?
do your pulled pork.
Yeah. GR Engineering Services, code is GNG. Now, I couldn't find it on our pulled pork list of stocks we've covered, but I think I may have talked about it years and years and years ago. But anyway, I'm going to go over it today. It didn't ring too many bells with me. It's possibly because, like a lot of stocks in our buy list, it's in the engineering services field. So we have a number of stocks I've covered in that space, and this is one of them. ADT is $380,000 traded per day, so it's a reasonably large stock. It will suit a lot of listeners. Based in Perth, but it does have offices in Brisbane, Indonesia, and it operates in Africa, and it also has a subsidiary in the US based in Tucson, Arizona. It was called Hanlon Engineering, but it's now under the GR Engineering Services banner. From their website, GR Engineering is a leading engineering, consulting, and contracting company that specializes in providing high-quality engineering design and construction services to the mining and mineral processing industries. The company's services cover all aspects of the project lifecycle, from the initial evaluation and study phase through to design, construction, commissioning, and operational support. So we've seen companies like this before. They're mining services companies. GR Engineering specialise in mine feasibility studies, design and construction, project management and consulting. They also have a division that provides similar engineering services to the oil and gas industry in Australia and Southeast Asia. I guess one thing that might differentiate them a little bit is that they often provide fixed cost or fixed maximum price solutions when they're tendering for business, and they often do turnkey solutions to construction projects as well. They operate a number of different brands, and their sub-brands include MIPAC, M-I-P-A-C, and Paradigm Engineering. And they tend to be, they are leading providers of control systems, operational technology, and engineering services in the mineral processing, iron ore, and energy sectors. The process controls business delivers control systems, automation, and digital solutions for key clients such as First Quantum, BHP, Rio Tinto, Glencore Technology, Octedi, and other smaller conglomerates. So not only are they doing feasibility studies on mines, then building the mines or the processing plants, but they're also providing engineering services to the processing side of the business. So not just helping to dig iron ore out of the ground, for example, but also processing it before it goes overseas. So that's GR Engineering in a nutshell. The share price has been doing well lately, and it tends to bump up when they announce contract wins, and they've had a number of those in the last 6 months, including on the 20th of June this year, so last week basically, or 10 days ago, they won the contract for engineering, procurement and construction for the expansion of the existing Eloise copper processing facility in North Queensland for AIC Mines. The contract value was $77.6 million, including provisional sums. That sort of caught my eye because AIC is also a QAV stock. The code is A1M. And on the day that announcement was made, the stock jumped 7.3%. Likewise, in April, they won a contract from Horizon Minerals, HRZ is the code, and that was to do engineering studies work to support the refurbishment and repurposing of the Black Swan processing plant for gold production. Likewise, the stock was up over 3% on the day of that announcement. And back in September, they announced that they had been awarded a $25 million contract to upgrade and recommission the Woodlawn processing plant for a company called Develop Global. And the stock was up 5.3% on that announcement. So this is something to be aware of. I guess if you're interested in looking at this company to purchase, it's going to be news-driven and driven a lot by contract wins. The stock price has also been moving up when they've announced their results, and their most recent half results for December 24 was strong. So revenue for the half up till the end of December 24 was $272 million versus $187 million for the second half in 23. So ending December 2023. Net profit was $21 million for the same period versus $14 million. Earnings per share was 12.68 cents for the most recent half versus 8.5 cents per share a year before. So all of those contract wins are having a material effect on the bottom line for the company. And in their half-yearly announcement, the MD said, during the 2025 second half, net cash flows from operating activities was $56.1 million, which resulted in a cash balance of $111.8 million at 31st December 2024. The higher cash generation, nil borrowings, low capital intensity, and excellent project delivery all contributed to the maintenance of a robust and stable balance sheet. So that's, a few ticks there from the quality side of things. And lastly, just to look at the last 5 years, the share price has gone from 86 cents up to $3.25. So nearly a fourfold increase over the last 5 years. So it's been doing very, very well. It's been on the buy list on and off for a long time over those 5 years. So people may already be aware of it, may already own it, but certainly doing well. The numbers, the QAV numbers, I'm using a price of $3.25, and unfortunately that's 29% above the consensus target, which we don't often see, but also above the IV1 of $1.16 and IV2 of $2.06. So the price is getting fully valued. The yield is 6.15%, which is above the average mortgage rate at the moment, so it scores for that. Stock Doctor Financial Health is strong and recovering. So we scored a 2 for the recovering side of things, and I like to see that. Stockopedia quality rank is 93 for quality and overall 98. So it scores well in Stockopedia. The F-score is 7 out of 9, speaking of F-scores, so very good. What also caught my eye in looking at the numbers was the ROE for this company is nearly 60%, 58.9%. So that kind of echoes the comments that the MD made about the company being capital light. So not just the tech sector, which is capital light, this services company is also capital light, strong ROE. PE at the time of the last results was 13.3, which was not the highest or the lowest. The current PE is a little bit higher than that, and if we scored it on that, it would be negative. It is just outside the range, but at last results at the end of December, 13.3. PropCAF is 5.71 times. So even though on a PE basis it's getting up there and on a valuation basis it's getting up there, it's still throwing off lots of cash. And on a PropCAF basis as well within our guidelines. Net equity per share is only 44 cents, and they've got some goodwill from acquisitions. So the NTA is only 27 cents. So we can't buy this company for anywhere near book or book plus 30. Interestingly enough, in the download from Stock Doctor, which I used, they have a negative forecast earnings per share of minus 9%. So it gets a negative 1 for growth over PE. But I find that conservative given the pipeline of work the company's announcing and given the strong results recently. I'd be surprised if it didn't increase its earnings per share going forward, but Stock Doctor may know something more than we do. Directors hold 11% of the company, including the owner-founder, Giuseppe or Joe Totaro, who owns just over 5% and has had 40 years of mining engineering experience. So we score it for an owner-founder. Shares have been rising for quite a while, so it's not a recent 3-point trend line upturn, so we can't score it for that. Equity is lumpy and not consistently increasing, so we can't score it for that. Overall, I'm giving it a 9 out of 13 for quality, which is 69%, and a QAV score of 0.12. So it may drop off the buy list if the share price keeps rising, because it's getting close to the bottom now. So, people, if you're interested, have a look. It may not be there if the price keeps rising in a little while. On the risk side of things, it's a mining services company. So if mining has a downturn or if commodities have a downturn, then the pipeline may dry up. They do, though, on the processing side, have a lot of recurrent clients. So they are diversified away from just getting tender wins to build mines. So that's a good thing. But a mining downturn will obviously affect them. And they are reliant on contract wins to keep their full-time engineering staff effectively utilised. So I think their business model is to hire a couple of hundred engineers and then put them to work. And if they don't have the work, I'm not sure how quickly they can get out of those contracts. But that would be a problem if there was a quick and sudden downturn in the mining industry. I'm also going to highlight the fact that even though this might be an advantage for them from a client point of view, but as we've seen in the property development world, fixed price and max price contracts may have difficulty if there are rising costs, which they have been over the last couple of years. Hasn't been called out as a problem, but may be a problem if inflation, keeps driving the costs higher, or there are other problems with costs increases and they're on a fixed price contract. So that may be a risk for them going forward. The strengths are the balance sheet, plenty of cash, plenty of PropCAF in a capital light business. The owner founder is very experienced. And as I said before, repeat business on the processing side. So that's GR Engineering. Have a look.
Thank you, TK. And I can tell you when you last did it as a pulled pork. It was November 2022.
Right.
Episode 543, The Mounting Yard. So there you go. Don't know why it was called that, but that's the last time you did it. GNG. We don't hold it in any of our portfolios, I can report. I think we have at some point, but we don't right now. Speaking of portfolios, I was wondering why the light portfolios 221 and 222 underperformed so badly. They had a couple of deadly ones. They both held AMI, which dropped 30% or so the other day. which took the wind out of their sails. And the 221 also held HLS. People may recall that dropped suddenly, Helios, not too long ago. So
there was a
it's
capital
interesting
return
how,
with Helios, though, so you should have got the capital back into the portfolio.
yeah, I'm not sure how that shows up in Navexa though, honestly. So 221, let me see, Helios. Yeah, capital gain down 33%, income return up 41%, total return 8.38%. Yeah, so we came out of it at a profit despite that. But in terms of the performance capital gain wise, it took the wind out of the portfolio sales. Um, So it's interesting to me, like if I'm looking at the winners versus the losers in 221 versus say 231, which had a 24% return, it's not that much difference. It's like one or two stocks really that perform well or don't perform well, and that can make a big difference. So, because 221 for the financial year had a couple of really good ones, right? It had AMA up 69%. It had WGN up 65%. RRL up 35, MLX up 35, BFL up 31, but it didn't have three over 60%. you know, it was missing that one or two that would have maybe kicked its performance up as well as 231. Anyway, it's interesting when I look at its performance, though, to the 221 portfolio, up at January, well, not even, yeah, by the beginning of February, it was down 1% for the financial year. It went from, in August, it was down 5% already for the financial year. As of January, it was down 1% versus the STW was up 11% at that stage already. So it was underperforming by 12% in January. From January to the end of the financial year, it caught up. It ended up finishing 9% up versus 13.61. So the second half of the financial year, it actually did quite well despite Helios and AMI, which is a big one. If I look at the beginning of June, 221 portfolio was up 12.61% for the year versus the STW up 14.3%. So it was catching up. And then it had AMI, just gutted it, knocked it down. So, luck of the draw.
Well, yeah, luck of the draw, but it should even out over time. It's the same process being applied, just different starting dates.
Yeah, different years. I mean, some years one portfolio does really well. I remember 222, which underperformed this year. If I go back to like a couple of years ago, previous calendar year, yeah, no. I remember there was one year it was up like 25% for the year. Can't remember which year it was because it had a couple of big winners. So yeah, this year not so well. But over time, if I look at it, yeah, all time it's outperforming the index only by a few points. 11% up 8. Yeah, but it was up 25%. April 2023 it was up 25% versus the STW up 4% over the same period of time. So, yeah, has some good years, has some average years, has some bad years. So keep telling people it's sort of the long haul thing, right?
Absolutely.
Great years, good years, bad years, average years. Just waiting for that really good year where you do 30, 40% return and it just sort of puts the wind in the sails for the next few years until you get another great year.
Correct. Yeah, very
Patience,
much so.
Padawan.
Well, and the nature of the beast is we don't know when that good year's coming. Be great to know when it was. You pack up and travel the world and come back and invest when that good year was about to happen. But Very hard
Yeah.
to predict.
And I think it's the hardest thing for new investors like myself years ago to appreciate is it's not doubling the market every year.
Mhm.
It's one really good year. If you stick to a disciplined investing system, buying undervalued stocks and holding them as long as you can, you get one really, really good year, and that sort of takes care of the rest of the years. You just got
Mhm.
to
And as we're also
keep doing
seeing
it.
too, you get dividends if you hold those stocks long enough, where the yield becomes important, and the yield itself can outperform the index.
Yeah, right.
Hmm.
But people tend to have a couple of bad years or average years and then
Yep.
go, it's not working, and go do something different.
Buy Bitcoin.
Buy Bitcoin. That's what I was going to say. All right. Well, thank you for GNG. Tony, after hours, what you got for me?
A few things. Jenny and I logged on expectantly to watch the new Nick Cage movie on Stan called The Surfer, and we turned it off after about 20 minutes. It was just diabolical.
No,
Oh,
don't tell me that.
it was
I
so
was
bad.
I was going to get a Stan subscription just to watch it.
Don't. It's like think Summer Bay, think Home and Away, production values, script, acting, uh, and then kind of horror theme to it, and poor script, just poor production values, really cliche. Just did not
Rotten
like it.
Tomatoes, critics rating 86%, audience rating 46%.
Oh, well, there you go. That's experts for you, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah, I thought it was awful.
That's a big split
It
there.
looks to me like, an Australian production company has said, how about we roll the dice and put all the money into hiring Nick Cage and forget about everything else? I'll just shoot it on my iPhone. You can do the keyboards. You can be Lalo and do the soundtrack, and we'll go from there. And it's just terrible. We'll go to the beach. Everything will be shot in the car park at the beach, and that'll be it.
Well, I don't know the director, Lorcan Finnegan, but he's got pretty good track record. Like he had a film before this, Nightmare Radio, The Night Stalker, which sounds right up my alley just from the title, but it's got a 40% rating. Uh, but yeah, oh man, this just like sounds like my type of film. Candy is a late night radio DJ with a program where people call to tell her real horror stories. One of her listeners begins to call her insistently. Candy quickly discovers that there is a strange connection between them. Soon she will find out how far an obsessed fan is willing to go. Sounds fantastic. Why does this have like 6 people listed as director? That's not a good sign. Okay, I don't know what the story with that is, but his other films, Nocebo, 74%, Vivarium, 73%, Without Name, 81%. So he's got like a pretty good track record.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wanted to like it. I wanted to, see an Aussie person do well, or an Aussie production company do well. But yeah, we just turned it off. It was so bad.
Okay. All right. What
So I
else?
forget The Surfer. Oh, but seen a couple of documentaries recently, which are fantastic. There's one on Rob Ford. You know who that is?
Yeah. The
Yeah.
Canadian pre-Trump Trump.
Toronto Lord Mayor when we were over there. And
Yeah.
there's a doco about his time as mayor and about him and how he
Is he
was.
the one who died, or was his brother who
He
died?
did. No, he died. His brother then, I think, became the Premier of Ontario and carried on the Ford name, and not quite as outrageous as his brother, but was still in the Trump vein.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like it was like watching Trump before Trump. It was the documentary's fascinating, and I guess we were there at the time, so it resonated. But yeah, well worth a look. Very interesting.
Mm. What's it
So that
called?
was good. Ooh, I don't know. It might even be called something like Trainwreck or Car Crash or something like that. Yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah. Watched the great documentary on the Go-Betweens recently, which was I hadn't seen before. I think it was made in about 2017. It's called Right Here,
Really?
the story of the Go-Betweens. Yeah, really, really good.
Oh.
Loved it.
I can't believe we haven't seen that.
Mm. So uses, footage and interviews, but the sort of way they do it is uh, they've got a Queenslander out in the country and they pull in each muso or each person who was involved in the go-betweens and put them on the veranda and interview them, and then interlace film clips and documentary footage as well. So it's really interesting, really good.
Oh wow! I'm gonna have to. Where did you watch that? Do you know where it was?
Foxtel.
Foxtel. Rupert Murdoch supporter. I don't know.
Well, not anymore. He sold it.
Oh, has he? Oh, yeah, that's
Mm.
right. He sold it to Telstra. Was it to Telstra?
No, he sold it to. They both sold it to a company. I think it's pronounced DAZN or DAZN or something. It's a UK
Oh, okay.
sports broadcaster, which
Hmm.
is maybe even worse because I think it's Saudi backed or something like that, or I think it's got Saudi money in it. No one can work out how it makes money.
Right.
Mm,
Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't need to.
no, it could be money laundering, allegedly. I'm being far fetched. What else? Have you seen? There's a series called The Agency with Michael Fassbender in it. I've just
Oh,
finished
okay.
watching that. Really good. Pretty,
No, I haven't
pretty
heard of it.
run of the mill CIA type thing, but it's set in Britain and great cast. Even stars the gerbil, who I don't normally like, but he was good in it.
Gerbil.
And it's
You'd be
really
talking
good.
about Richard Gere. That's who you're referring to as the gerbil.
Maybe, yeah.
He must be getting on.
Again, allegedly, he is. Yeah. So that was good. I really enjoyed that. Quite complex. It's in that sort of British spy mold rather than the American spy mold.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, lots of double agents and things going on, and people having to go undercover and keep their covers, and what happens when they come out, and all that kind of stuff. But I really enjoyed it. That was The Agency. And then I don't know if you caught it or not. I don't know if you told me, but there's like a 10 or 15-minute fan-made documentary on Bullet that Quentin Tarantino narrates. So someone's taken, his book he wrote last year on, what's it called? He wrote a book on movies
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I read it.
someone's taken the chapter of Bullet. So he must have like done the audiobook for it, because they take his narration of Bullet and then put their own clips underneath it. And it's
Oh, nice.
fantastic. It's really good. Yeah. How Steve
Fantastic.
McQueen's so cool, how he was competing with Paul Newman, and just how Goldfinger changed the way action movies were shot and cut, and then was used as a template for Bullet, and Lalo Schifrin's music.
Lalo
Yep.
did the soundtrack. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love the
Yeah.
Bullet theme. Oh, great. And
That's out there on
horses,
YouTube
golf.
somewhere. No golf. I went and played. So last Friday, I went and played 9 holes with my brother-in-law, and my back still isn't right, so I'm just going to rest that for a bit longer. I had my
Right.
nieces down from Warwick, which was nice. So they stayed with my sister in Melbourne, and I went up there during the week. And Alex came over, and we went, showed them around Melbourne, and then went and played. There's some kind of fancy putt-putt thing above Flinders Street Station at the moment. So we did that.
Above
then we had,
Flinders Street Station.
Yeah, it's like they've got these exhibition halls above Flinders Street Station, and it was kind of
Yeah.
billed as an art installation. So there was like a theme to every hole, and there was a bar and stuff. So it was good.
Wow.
And then we had
Nice.
dinner in one of the laneways off Flinders Street, which was lovely, sitting outside on a hilly Melbourne night under the heaters. It was great, eating Italian.
I miss Melbourne. God damn. Brisbane's had Melbourne weather for the last couple of weeks, and I've been loving it. Just, put jeans and a long sleeve top on and my R.M. Williams and, a scarf. I think I wore a scarf one day. It was great. Loved it.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying the weather. We're getting lots of clear days and then rain overnight, even though it's like 8 or 9 degrees, but it's lovely. It's just really nice, crisp, clear weather.
Yeah. I love it. I miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then on the
Batfleck?
horse front, Batfleck is going to run on Saturday if he gets in. So it's a bigger race. He's coming off a win. He may get belted out, but hopefully he gets a start. So watch out for that.
Right. Good luck on that. Well, my week, we went to, I think I mentioned last week we were going to this, we went to see the Orava Quartet. It's a Brisbane-based quartet that's part of Opera Queensland, and they did and played 3 pieces, Beethoven's First String Quartet, a Schumann piano quintet. They had a pianist join them. But the highlight was the Shostakovich 8th String Quartet. My first time seeing Shostakovich performed live, and one of my favourite pieces, the 8th String Quartet, which was the one that he, according to one of his friends, he planned to commit suicide around about that time. He said it was his epitaph. It starts with his initials, which was one of his motifs. But yeah, a tremendous piece of music, and it was very well played. And so that was great.
His initials.
We finished.
How do you do an S on the string instrument?
It's in German. It's in German. Yeah.
I thought, isn't he Russian? Is he German?
Yes. No, he's Russian. Yeah.
Oh,
it's hard to perform Russian initials. No, it's just his initials in German.
Right.
And there's an H in there, but the H becomes an A in something. Anyway, yeah. Beautiful piece of music. And he wrote it. He was in Dresden. He was in Germany when he wrote it. He was in Dresden, visiting Dresden in 1960, and was just horrified at the ravages of Dresden after the bombing in World War II. And it was the quartet was dedicated to the victims of fascism and war, but was also his own, supposedly his own epitaph. He said, no one's going to write an epitaph when I die, so I'm writing my own. And he was contemplating suicide at the time. It's a very, very tragic, sad piece of music. But the second movement is quite famous. It's this maelstrom that sounds like the bombing of Dresden. And it's, mesmerizing. Anywho, that was great. We finished The Righteous Gemstones, the final episode of that last night. That was a bonkers ending. That was fun. If you haven't seen that, Walton Goggins' performance in The Righteous Gemstones as Baby Billy. Oh, my God. Just fantastic. I'm going to miss Baby Billy.
I haven't watched the series, but I've seen enough clips of it to know who Baby Billy is. Yeah.
Baby Billy. Come on now. His performance is just so ridiculously, sublimely over the top. Walton Goggins is fantastic. I'm still reading the Gorbachev memoirs, which is fascinating. Did Chernobyl. He's in sort of 86. He's in the middle of trying to roll out perestroika and glasnost, and talking about Chernobyl and how the West positioned Chernobyl and their management of it, which he totally disagreed with the Western media's perspective of how they managed it, which we should expect, but interesting to hear his version of the whole thing. And I've been listening to a lot of Lalo, Schiffrin, and Nina Simone, going deep on Nina Simone's back catalogue, loving Nina Simone, but and Lalo, all the Lalo stuff, not just the film soundtracks, but the stuff that he did in jazz. He's got a jazz mass, which is fantastic. It's like a lot of sort of classical Mozart-y type mass music, Catholic mass, but jazz versions of it, and his bossa nova stuff, and what a career. 91, I think he was. Bill Moyers too was like 91. The two of them were in their early 90s. Very, very big careers, influential careers. So I'm enjoying that. That's it for me. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. Oh, you want to talk anything more about you? I cut you off when you were talking about Lalo at the beginning. Kelly's Heroes you were talking about.
No, it's fine. We've covered it.
Good.
Yeah, I just remember that like almost every sort of hard driving detective movie or something in the 70s or spy movie had Lalo as the soundtrack. It was just so good. I think he even did TV series too. I'm not sure if he did Starsky and Hutch, but he was always
well, Mission Impossible was it?
Well, Mission Impossible
was a TV series. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a bit more poppy than what he's known for. It's that really sort of driving, downbeat, more like a Bullet style opening soundtrack.
Yeah. Well, and he said the Mission Impossible thing he wrote in 3 minutes, he reckons.
Oh, really?
Just, yeah. Speaking of which, just for Aussies at home, 9 News, the tar sequence from Cool Hand Luke, used by 9 News into the 90s. You remember the 9 News theme song from the 90s? I can't play it because we'll get pinged for copyright, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, he was 93, not 91. His, 9 News used some of his music. But all the Clint Eastwood stuff, the Dirty Harrys, all of those he did, a lot of Steve McQueen stuff. Yeah, just massive, massive career, and a lot of it's great stuff. A lot of stuff is forgettable too, I guess, after you can do 127 soundtracks. But
yeah,
I think if you can do one timeless thing, it's not too bad in a career, let alone 10 timeless, pieces of music or however many he did. He's like John Williams up there, just churned them out time after time after time.
Very different sort of style of music to John Williams, but yeah, I agree. Up there in the pantheon, isn't he? Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, that's it. Let's go talk America, TK. Have a good week, everyone. Or
have a good week. Have a good year. Let's have a good year.
Yeah, have a good year.
Start with the RBA lowering interest rates next week around this time.
Oh, you think? Okay.
Hopefully.